RMJ Movie Reviews back again, people. And I'm coming with another holiday movie Happy Halloween October movie review. This is a classic. This is like really one of my favorites. Not my favorite movie, scary movie, but I really like this film a lot. And those of us who grew up in the 80s and the early 90s remember this one. House from 1985, starring William Katt, directed by Steve Miner of Friday the 13th Part 2 and 3 fame, and Halloween H2O, and I believe My Father the Hero with Gerard Depardieu, if that even counts. But George Wendt is in it. Richard Moore from Cheers. Richard Moore was from Night Court fame, and George Wendt was actually on the show Cheers back in the day. For those of us who even remember those television series, oh man, House is such a fun movie. I actually bought this DVD from Hollywood Video back in, I believe it was 2008 when they all closed out their show. I hate this cover. As you can kind of see in between the letters, it has the original one with the decapitated hand and the key. I don't know why they're doing this with DVDs now. I hate it. Maybe they can't get the original artwork. I don't know. House is a classic. I still remember, you guys, all my reviews of all these older movies, I'm always going to start out with how I remember when I first saw them. I think it just adds to the nostalgia where I'm coming from. But either way, I remember my older brother rented it from the video store, and I believe this was when we had first moved, so I believe this was like 1986. But I remember watching the film, and the really weird thing about it is I never understood, like in reviews, how people kind of said it was a comedy. And like rewatching it all the way through, because I haven't watched it in a while, but watching it all the way through again, I see what they're talking about now. I wouldn't necessarily go so far as to say it's kind of a comedy. I'd kind of more go say that it kind of has kind of oddball characters, but the oddballness is kind of downplayed a little bit. It's kind of more like you kind of have to pay attention to what they're saying to catch it. It's not oddball like something like a Tobe Hooper Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 or the Funhouse type of oddball kind of characters. It's more kind of like, it's subtle in the odd humor that's kind of thrown in. It's kind of more like people say inappropriate things at inappropriate times, and it's kind of like the main character kind of goes like, huh, what did they say? So I kind of get the humor now. At the time when people said it, I didn't really get it because it's not really that pronounced. But either way, House tells the story of Roger Cobb. He's like a Stephen King-ish kind of novelist guy who writes horror stories. He's doing a new book about his experiences in Vietnam. His aunt just killed herself in her house where him and his ex-wife, actually, their son went missing. So he decides it's a great idea to shack up in the house where his kid went missing and help write his new novel about Vietnam. And he finds out slowly that what his aunt used to say about the house is true. And therefore, he has to fight his own demons and see if he can find his son somewhere in this house. So that's the story of House from, I believe it was 1985, or maybe, I'm sorry, I might be wrong, it could be 86 when this movie came out. I should know it better, as big as a movie fanatic as I am. 80, I don't know, I can't find it on here, guys, I'm wasting time. So either way, it's just a fun movie. I still remember when I was a kid and we watched it. I still remember there's two gags in particular that really highly terrified me as a kid. Obviously, Big Ben, the Vietnam skeleton dude at the end, when he opens the door and he goes, sucker, scared me to death. And the witch lady, when it's his ex-wife at the house and she bends down and pops back up and it's the witch lady. I remember being thoroughly happy when he shot her, and then eventually she's all chopped up and stuff into bits and pieces. But this is a clever little small movie, because this movie came out, years after Poltergeist, which Poltergeist was a Steven Spielberg movie. And you can tell when you watch Poltergeist and then watch something like House, you could tell that one is a bigger budgeted movie and House is a much smaller film. So, it's kind of more playing off of how the actors sell the set pieces, because the set pieces, like I said, are much smaller. It's kind of funny. The endings are kind of similar. Like at the end of this movie, they're supposed to be, Roger blows up Big Ben or whatever with a grenade, And there's like this scene where the ex-wife and the neighbor come outside the house and they're standing up, looking up at the sky like, oh my God. And it's supposed to be like this big fire. It's like a little mini fire, like 2 windows. But then when you watch the ending of Poltergeist and James Karen is like this and there's the light and the house is imploding, you can just tell the difference in, what kind of money you got behind the movies. But regardless of that, this is just a tightly woven, fun little movie. William Katt, charming guy, really good actor. He's always been a fantastic actor. He really sells the stuff really well. And what I really like is he has this really good balance of he's kind of playing it humorous, but he's also playing it straight. So he's riding that line right there because he's still looking for his kid. So he's selling the emotion that he's not overplaying it. He's kind of like selling it like he's really in pain that his son is missing. He lost his marriage. But at the same time, he's kind of being a little bit humorous with this crazy stuff that's going on. There's some kind of, I don't know what kind of fish that's called, the one with the long, sharp nose, but the fish on the wall, comes alive, and, and it's just all kinds of screwball crazy stuff in this movie, and it's really a lot of fun. What's funny now looking at this movie is actually rated R, and really, aside from, I don't even think they use the F word in this movie. I think they use goddamn, and I think maybe shit is thrown out here and there. But really, this movie could easily be PG-13. I'm not even sure why it's rated R, to be honest, because it shouldn't be rated R. Yeah, it's rated R. This should not be rated R at all. It should actually be PG-13. Definitely by today's standards. If I was to take this movie and show it to my nieces and nephews or some of my other friends' kids, they'd probably laugh at it, But it's a fun movie. The characters are kind of, really goofy, off color. I love the gag with, I can't remember the actress, and I think her name is Tanya Roberts, but she's the good-looking, this woman is hot, man. She's got these beautiful blue eyes. She's when she hops out the pool, she's a beautiful woman. But I love how she kind of goes I can tell when a man wants to play. And then she ends up coming over, bringing her kid over, and she's like, my son loves to play. And she's like, I want you to watch him while I go out on a date. And it's like, what? When you think about that, that is a man's worst nightmare, is to see a woman like that. Because the first thing is, you're thinking is, I gotta be Rambo and I gotta save the world. It's my duty to please the booty, But then, she comes over, she goes, hey, I want you to watch my kid. I'm going out on a date with another guy. That's just like the ultimate nightmare. The other gag I love the demon in the closet gag. That's a fun one. I love how in the beginning of the movie he senses something's in the closet and then he walks, and then of course Harry Manfredini of Friday the 13th, 1 through 7 of the 80s, his music pops in and the music is all overwrought. He goes, dun, 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 dun. And, he used a lot of those same musical cues that he used in the Fridays. And unfortunately, The Hills Have Eyes, 1985, Part 2, directed by Wes Craven, who disowns that film as well. But he uses a lot of the same musical cues. And also, this movie is produced by Sean S. Cunningham of Friday the 13th fame, the original one, and I think a little bit of 2. But, I probably say that's probably why Harry Manfredini did the score to this one. But the demon closet gag, that's one. I love the other one where the witch, after the little haunt, the scary witch or whatever is chopped up, and the witch is on the kid's back, and Roger bites it and flushes it down the toilet. You see the hand go down. There's so many really fun, cool gags in this movie. This movie is just, it's a goofball fun time, and the story is tightly woven. How you get the story that he's divorced from his wife, but then it flashes back to when they're married, and you can see why they divorced. You know what I mean? They lost their kid. Their marriage probably couldn't take it, and then it weaves in this story about Roger, and the neighbor is not really sure is Roger losing it because he was in Vietnam, so is this guy having flashbacks? So he's writing his novel, and it weaves slowly together how you find out that his old buddy from Vietnam, from beyond the grave, Big Ben, kidnapped the kid because he didn't kill him when Ben messed up during some kind of, Viet Cong raid in Vietnam. And it rolls together very, very tightly. This is a cool movie, man. I really, really, really love this film. I do have it on VHS. I haven't watched my VHS of it in a while. I actually taped it off Cinema 19 WOIL Shaker Heights, Cleveland. I believe I taped that back in like, I don't know, it was like the early 90s, like 91 or 92 or something like that at our old house that we lived at. And occasionally I'll go back to watch the VHS tape, but this DVD is pretty good. It's got a very informative commentary on it. Actually, Steve Miner actually said in the commentary that the whole thing with Big Ben kidnapping the kid wasn't even originally even part of the movie. I guess the house just took the kid in the original version of the movie, and some water sea monster had the kid trapped or something, which it sounds terrifying, but really in context of the story, I think Big Ben coming back from Vietnam and kidnapping the kid, kind of, because the whole thing is the house uses your weaknesses against you. So like you see, there's a scene where, you know, Roger thinks that it's his ex-wife coming to visit, turns out to be a witch. Then Big Ben is the one who kidnapped the kid. So the house is preying on Roger's stuff that's going on inside of him, you know. And also you see of course, from the two guys from Night Court, Cheers popping up. You also see Stephen Williams himself from 21 Jump Street. I believe he was 21 Jump Street's second season and up. He pops up. I can't remember the other actor's name. I think his name was Bubba on In the Heat of the Night TV show. They're two cops, you know, who pop up. I mean, man, this is like pure 80s. I love this movie. If there's anybody on my channel, again, like I always say, who didn't grow up in the 80s or was born in the early 90s or a little bit later, and they've never heard of House, please check it out. Keep in mind, guys, the special effects are a little bit dated, you know, but it's a smaller movie. Give it a shot. I love House. There might have been some stuff that I might have missed in here. I was kind of rambling a little bit all over, but I had a really great time watching this movie again. Fun flick. And we all know, before I wrap this up, there are some sequels to it, and I have always hated the unrelated sequel. I just never in my mind could grasp it. You know, and this is in the video store ages too, so yes, I've seen House 2. I remember seeing House 2 when it first came on cable, and I was like, huh? My older brother was like, this is House 2, and I was like, where's the guy from, huh? This is not... every House sequel is unrelated. There's, I guess, a House 3 that's supposed to be the horror show starring Brian James and Lance Henriksen. I've seen that film. And then there's a House 4 where Roger comes back, and the house is like in the middle of Arizona, not on a suburban street like this movie. So I don't know. I don't really have much to say about the sequels. The only thing I can say is House 2, I like the second half of it when they go back to the old West, and that was kind of cool. The horror show, I actually like that movie, but I've only seen it once and I haven't seen it in years. House 4 is just total. I hate House 4. It's a piece of garbage. I rented it from the video store in 1992 when it came on video, and I hated it. That was back like before IMDb and the internet. That was like when you just see like a movie title or a picture and you take a chance, and you'd either like have a joyous time or you'd suffer. In my case with House 4, I suffered. So that's all I got to say about House, guys. Starring William Katt, directed by Steve Miner. Great movie, nostalgic for me. I love the movie. It's just a fun, silly goofball movie from the 80s. Thumbs up the video. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment below about House, the sequels. Let's just talk movies, guys. I love this stuff. I live for it. RMJ Movie Reviews, and I will be back with, I think I'm going to go with The Stepfather from 1987, starring Terry O'Quinn. I'll see you guys later, guys.